We have a big laser magic battle going on between 13 and Zero at the end of last week's episode. It carries over into this episode, and while they're fighting basically to the death from what we could assume as the Watchers, a bell rings, and then they say, oh, it's lunchtime, let's go get food. Are you fucking serious? Like, okay, so I'm gonna just be completely blunt. That beginning kind of, like, that was a turn off to the episode. Like, what? Like, that is just not a way you end a fight. Like, I would understand if this was a comedy anime. I could understand that. But because of the way the episode was being set up from last week's episode and carried over into this episode, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the way the laser battle was going on with these magicians, I was like, the way that ended, it did not feel right at all. I don't know. Something needed to be changed there. I don't know if it was because the voice actors, the way they did it, to the visuals, the camera, I have no idea. But something with that beginning part of the episode, it just did not feel right at all. Especially the way it just ended. Like, oh, we were just fighting to the death, basically, from what the viewers fought. And then all of a sudden, let's go get something to eat and all that. Let's eat together and just talk. I'm like, what? It felt very forced. In my personal opinion. I mean, we found out that 13 and Zero, they're connected, they basically kind of know each other a lot because from the cave, but still, just the way that was done, not the biggest fan of it. I want to be honest, not the biggest fan of that. Regardless, though, let's talk about 13's character for a sec. So 13, I like his character, even though he doesn't have anything, like, amazing about it, or I'm like, oh my god, this is an awesome character. He has a lot of justification for what he is doing. For instance, why he joined the state, to why he killed those, sorcerers or witches in, last week's episode. I mean, there's some things that, kind of fall flat where he doesn't explain himself, but overall, a lot of the things he was saying about, like, why witches are being hunted, why he joined the state and all that, he kind of gives clarification, and he doesn't necessarily lie about that, and I do appreciate that. I like his, straightforwardness and how he doesn't lie to Zero about that, and he was just being honest of what he was doing. It really was interesting to see how he basically told Albus what was really going on here, and then all of a sudden Albus is, about to be burned at the stake, basically, and he's like, I got betrayed and all that. I got betrayed because you never told me that, the book was raw from me, you weren't on my side, Zero, and Albus just got, slapped with the cold, harsh reality of what was really going on, and 13 basically exposed him, and exposed what was really going on in the first place. So, in terms of 13's character, I like him. He's an interesting character, and I like how he is really making the story move, because even though I've liked the previous episodes, I love the pacing, I love the, the dialogue between the characters, the chemistry. It really made some great episodes, and I fucking love that. That is some of my favorite stuff to see in an anime. 13 as a character, his main point for what I've seen so far is to kind of crank up the story, make the story start moving. Instead of just having characters talking with each other, interactions in town and all that, 13's there to just make the plot move and to give us conflict, make, things go and happen throughout the series. And so I do like his character for that. He's making that progression happen. So if you're one of those type of people that have been waiting for the story to finally pick up the pace, 13 is your kind of character. He's finally making the story move. But let's talk about the main point of this episode, the main conflict, besides Albus and all that. You have it to where Zero and Mercenary get kind of in an argument, and basically Mercenary, he gets brainwashed in a way to where he, doubts Zero, and it causes it to where towards the end, Zero's like, hey, let's cut the contracts off, I won't turn you back into, a human, and you won't have to protect me, and basically they parted ways. That's kind of how Zero went, and the main point that started this was that 13 was talking to Mercenary, and basically trying to get him out, for instance, move him out of the picture to where he was no longer with Zero. Zero explains the reason why he was able to act like that was because of 13. He's able to plant, doubt within someone. Like, if you have any shred of doubt, he can expand upon that and make it to where he can kind of control you, which was what was going on in the episode towards the end. And once again, I want to reinforce the fact, if he didn't have doubt within him, he wouldn't have had that happen to him. So he did doubt Zero the entire time, which, in all honesty, it's to be expected. And I feel like the way Zero reacted, it felt like it was an overreaction, because Mercenary, he's grown up his entire life being hunted by people, had witches after his head, you would think because of the type of person he is and what he's been through, it would be very hard to get rid of that distrust. It would. You don't just get rid of that stuff in a day. Not even a couple days of spending time with someone. That doesn't just disappear. It doesn't go away. That will be in the back of your head. And so the way Zero reacted to Mercenary, I felt like it was over-exaggerated. But at the same time, I gotta remember, Zero doesn't really have much reactions or interactions with people at all, because she doesn't really hang out with people. Before she even came out of the cage, she didn't really talk to anyone. She was always in studies, learning things, so that's probably what's going on here. She just doesn't know how to communicate properly, or talk with someone about certain things, or understand. She's very naive in some cases because of how to handle the mercenary. So I can understand her side as well, but her reaction, though, was very over-exaggerated, because honestly, it shouldn't have happened to begin with, because it was something to be expected from the mercenary to have still some doubt. I mean, that's just common sense at that point. Still, though, with the separation, I don't think, obviously, it's going to be permanent. I mean, it is a series about the Grimoire of Zero. It's Zero and the mercenaries traveling, you know, together and all that. I don't think it's going to be a permanent separation. It's common sense by now. But I still say, though, that I'm interested to see how they'll work together, get back together, and also how the relationship will grow stronger after this event. Because, I mean, with distance, obviously they're gonna, you know, bond together a lot more once they come back together. Most likely what's probably going to happen is, since they've separated, Mercenary's probably going to go out of his way to probably save Albus, and most likely Zero is as well, and then it's going to result in these two working together to help him out, which then they're going to form a party, and then everything will kind of be Daijobu, you know. Basically, that's kind of what's going to happen. So, yeah. Overall, I feel like the episode, it had its good moments. It did. And it had some good progression overall, but there was some moments that really just, I was like, about, because I didn't like the beginning. The beginning was like, no, I was not a fan of the beginning. I like the 13 talking to Albus scene and how he was basically exposing him and what the witches are doing. That was a great scene. That was probably one of the best scenes of the episode. And then we have it to where 13 is trying to make his move on the mercenary, trying to do something crusty, and we know he's doing something. We don't know if he's doing it because he wants Zero all to himself, because we know in last week's episode, he didn't like Albus mentioning Zero's name at all, and that's why he was getting very upset. So, he seems very possessive over Zero, and maybe that's why he wants the mercenary gone. He doesn't want him there because he wants Zero all to himself, or something else is going on. He has another greater scheme going on that we don't know. Maybe he wants, you know, mercenary out of the way and Zero, because he does want her to go back to the caves, so most likely he has another plan just besides Zero all to himself. But that's about it. I mean, episode, it was okay. I mean, nothing amazing, but it was enjoyable nonetheless. Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below, and how do you feel about this week's episode of Grimoire of Zero? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest. And how did you feel about the art and animation of this episode? It looked pretty good, to be honest. I mean, besides the beginning of the episode, which could have used some work, but overall, it was good. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.